I don't know what happened on my last stream, but YouTube just kind of kicked me off my own thing. So we're going to wait for everybody to come back. Hi, Marty. I see that you're first. Okay. So that was a little strange, but I mean, it's a weird question stream. It wouldn't be the same if it didn't have any weirdness, right? Hi, Ocean. Good to see you. Hello to Diane. Happy New Year to you too. Okay, the internet at my place might not be working right because YouTube wants to keep reconnecting and had already kicked me off my other stream, but we're gonna keep going anyways. Oh, In Through a Colored Lens says, hi Sienna, I have your channel on my featured list. Oh, thank you. Hello, welcome to the stream. Any of you have this candle at home? This is like Marshmallow Fireside. It is amazing. I am obsessed with this candle. It's like almost half gone already, but it smells so good. I've been using it for live streams and working with clients. Today I had my candles going like all morning. Hello, Jayon. Happy New Year. All right, we got 18 of you guys. Perfect. Okay, I'm getting shuffled. I'm also getting some notes out. You guys had a lot of really good weird questions, and I've been trying to go through some of your questions from my older posts, ones that I just didn't have time to get to yet. So we'll see if I can do a couple of them maybe. Autobot says, hi, any hints on when the Ascension is coming? As soon as I read your message, I immediately heard from my guides, it's already happening. It's already here. It's right now. If that helps you at all. Okay, I just had to write down one more question that somebody suggested. All right. And then, of course, I have a few ideas written down, like about certain artifacts, if they're like real or just more information about them. Somebody had been asking about Bigfoot a couple times lately. This is one that I was personally wondering about. I don't know if my text is forward or backward for you guys, but on my camera it's backwards. But anyways, like, where do really evil people go after they die? Like, because I did a video before on, you know, where the average person goes who maybe just didn't live their best life, like who we would English is hard, generally call like a bad person or a sketchy person. We already know what happens when they cross over, but what about really, really evil people? And then somebody else was wondering, like, what is it like being an angel? What do they do? You know, what would a typical role or job for them be? And then somebody asked about President Eisenhower, if it's true that he faked a dentist appointment so that he could go and, what was it, contact extraterrestrials or something like that. Ooh, Jan's asking, who made the stone circles? Okay. It might be buffering and reconnecting for you guys. It just kicked me off my own stream again, but at least this time it didn't, like, erase the stream and cancel it altogether. Whew, all right. So Jan was asking about, what the heck was it again? The stone circles in South Africa. Who made them? Okay, here we go. That's a good question too. It reminds me of something I'd read recently where what a group of scientists found, it was a baby mammoth. It was just like I don't know, it was cute. His little frozen, I guess, mammoth body belly. All right. Oh, we got 29 now. Hello to everybody who's just joined. I know we're having buffering issues. I don't know if it's my internet or if it is a Google/YouTube thing, because sometimes they have issues too. All right, but that aside, I think we can get started. First, somebody had been asking about particular artifacts, and actually this question reminded me a lot of like Indiana Jones, so I was thinking of doing like a video or a stream just based on, you know, questions about like various artifacts and like old civilizations and stuff, but I kind of wanted to look at it here. First one was the Ark of the Covenant, if that one was real, and just any more information that we can have about that from Spirit. If you don't know what it is, it's like this really like powerful box, I guess, supposed to contain the presence of God, the high priests and stuff back in the Bible days. I think it's like part of the story of Moses or something when they were going through the desert. Basically had this like God in a box, and they took it with them everywhere that they went. And it was so powerful that a guy touched it just to sort of steady it, just to balance it, and apparently he fell over dead. And then of course we see in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Nazis open up the box, they open up the Ark, and you know, everybody's head explodes and whatever else happens. So I don't remember which viewer it was, but one of you guys was asking me if that one was real. So let's take a look and just more information on it. This is really interesting. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can point. Ooh, I might not be able to do that. Maybe. All the cards are gonna be upside down. Oh, okay, I gotta be careful if I don't want to knock my camera all the way over. I can keep it like this, I think. You guys might be able to see some of the cards. Cheryl's saying rumor has it there was more than one arc, and she says she can see that being possible. From what I have here, it seems like, yeah, it did exist at least at one point. There's something to it. And of course, we can always pull more cards on this, but it belonged to a close-knit group of people, which I guess the group that was traveling through the desert for that long time, whatever, belonged to a close-knit group of people. And then I have a Two of Pentacles. I want to clarify that. What exactly is this one referring to? Because it's like it shifted hands. Different people were put in charge of its well-being. Okay. So it's like there were people in this close-knit group that would essentially take turns watching over or looking after this ark, carrying it around, protecting it. I'm also hearing like guarding it at night. it's interesting. The mental image I have is there's a brown tent set up, and the ark is inside of the tent, and then the person that's like guarding it has to sleep on the ground outside. I don't know why that's funny to me, but it's like he was happy to sleep on the ground outside of it if it meant that, you know, this item, this thing gets a tent to itself and is safe in there. Yeah. Oh, and I forgot to, this is the one I clarified it with, to ensure its well-being. People just took turns looking after it. And then what I got, oh my goodness, you guys, it was stolen. 7 of Swords, that is like the card of the, well, it's pretty obvious. Look, he looks like he's sneaking away, like, oh, they better not see me. I'm gonna get out of here with as many things or whatever as I can. It was stolen. Oh, hey, little sparrow, you're not too late. We're just looking at if certain artifacts were real, and the first one was Ark of the Covenant. It was stolen and then moved to a different location. 6 of Swords. But it brought a lot of misfortune on the person or the people who stole it with the tower. It basically just backfired. It's really interesting. I kind of want to know who stole it. And I want to make sure the cards aren't just trying to retell the story of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So who stole it initially? The Hierophant. So this was definitely, well, and I'm hearing a high priest, but it was taken by like by a church or by a, I don't know if it wouldn't have been called church back in, what, 10,000 years ago or however long ago this was. Autobot is suggesting the Babylonians. Like, are you suggesting they're the ones maybe who stole it? Because anyways, it was stolen by somebody like a high priest or somebody in that sort of position. Like by an organized religious group. They stole it. Okay. Oh, yeah, and Autobot saying yeah. Okay. So, yeah, stolen by this, like, religious bunch or whatever. And it brought a whole bunch of all sorts of misfortune. Oh, there you go. Now you can see it. All sorts of misfortune. Now I have 5 of Pentacles. I'm hearing, like, things like famine. Things like illness. Where was this thing taken? Was it taken, I want to know, like, if it was taken to a temple or something, because the mental image I have is there's a building, and it's like holy ground. It looks like a temple to me, and outside of it, just on the outside, there were flower beds or some kind of flowers growing out front, and there were some, like, vegetables and stuff in the back. And then when this ark was brought in, all the plants died. That was the mental image I had. All the plants died, and they couldn't grow anything in their garden. And then, yeah, I was hearing something about illness. So, yeah, just a great deal of suffering to the people who stole it. Regret. There's a lot of regret. 3 of Swords, heartbreak. I should never have done this. That was like some words that came in was I should never have done this. I'm also hearing who authorized this. Don't know why I'm hearing that, but I just am. A lot of regret. Now, the last 2 cards I have here, for now, I have Temperance and I have the Lovers. And when I put these ones down, Spirit was saying, this is what the box contained. Was a, well, kind of, sort of. Maybe the presence of God really was in there because God is love with this Lovers card, okay? God is, you know, the concept of healing, and we're all one. We're all connected to this. Like I'm calling it God just for simplicity, but all connected to this one God or whatever. The point of this arc was for the people to look at it and to have a physical reminder that God's love was with them, and that God's healing was with them, and that peace was with them. And I'm hearing from Spirit that they really didn't need the box at all, but it really meant something to them. They valued beautiful things. So the arc itself was just a physical reminder that God was with them always, and yeah, of that kind of love that's always around them. And that it was meant just for them, just for that group of people that were traveling. This is I'm having a brain fart now, forgetting like everything I learned from Sunday school. Was that the Israelites, I think, that Moses was leading, you know, trying to get them to the promised land, etc. That box, that was for them. And it was, they had put so much effort into creating it, you know, and it was so intricate, and it was so, it just took so much effort to build and to make. And for someone, this religious organization or whatever, to steal it, which, one, that's a little bit backwards, considering you'd think that they would be teaching the whole no, stealing is wrong thing, you know, the whole don't do that, but whatever, and try and use it, well, to hide it away, and to try and use it, I'm hearing, to teach lessons that it wasn't intended for. I'm hearing from Spirit, those were natural consequences of removing it from its rightful place, from its rightful people. I want to know, is it still around now? Or has it been destroyed? Has it been, you know, put away somewhere? What? Okay, well, first of all, justice. It's like, I have the sense it's being returned to its rightful people. That was what I heard. Or at least to its rightful part of the world. I wonder if it's being kept, maybe not in a museum per se, but in some kind of like an archive or some like kind of secure place, because it's like the people that it belonged to, they couldn't really afford to maybe maintain it, or couldn't afford to possibly keep it safe. And so somebody with money decided to help them out, like, hey, I'll fund. I don't know why, I just, like, the sense I get is like it's in a museum, but it's not necessarily on display. That's all, that's what I'm picking up. Like, somebody said, hey, we can keep it safe. We have the means of keeping this thing safe because, you know, maybe whichever country or region it belonged in maybe just couldn't afford that kind of security or something like that. I don't know. To preserve it over the various generations. Okay. How long ago did that happen? How long ago did that happen? Now, I keep hearing like 1923 and like just keep getting a sense 1923 to like 1926-ish, like that it was, as far as considering how old this artifact is, this was more like recent in history that it was brought to some kind of museum or some place where it can be safe. Okay, Spirit, why are you giving me 3 of Swords? Take it off my hands. I need it to stop causing me heartache. Take it off my hands. Okay. Now, when it was initially stolen, and it caused huge grief to the people who stole it, how long did they keep it for? I keep hearing it was passed around from place to place and time to time. Holy crap. Okay, well, for a while it was kept in a wealthy king's palace. And then I had this one come out. I'm like, so, you know, did it cause him death? Like, what happened? And then I clarified it and I had the death card. So a king had it, and I feel, no, what I'm getting is that it was like, I guess it wouldn't necessarily be the basement, okay, but like maybe the in like a dungeon or in a cellar or something. It was definitely like under the ground within the place, and it was kept there for a while. Just looking at the bottom of the deck, it just caused like, it was just a huge burden for everybody in the palace. That was one place it went. Spirit's telling me, how long of a time did it spend there? Because I was hearing it spent 10 years. 6 of Pentacles, so stayed in that palace for 6 to 10 years. And then 3 of Wands, and they shipped it off. I'm hearing from Spirit they smuggled it onto a boat. At this point, it no longer had the wooden, it didn't have the wooden like carrying handles as it's often depicted with. By this time, those were long gone, lost. Where else did it go? Because it was smuggled onto a boat and shipped off. Okay. Now, I don't know why I'm hearing China. Somehow, maybe it ended up around there eventually. A young person found it and like alerted. Is somebody who worked for, well, and the feeling I get was like this, it was like a actual emperor who was ruling during the time that all of this was going down. It was like his messenger I'm hearing errand boy. That's kind of how we would describe it, this person. Came across it, alerted the Emperor. Now, I have that they did have great reverence for it, the star. They did have great reverence for it, and they did have respect for it. But the tower, it still wasn't good for them. It didn't belong to them. It's almost like this thing became a cursed object. That's the energy I'm getting with this. I have Queen of Wands. This isn't, I'm not getting a sense of where or who necessarily, but a queen had it in her possession for a while. I want to clarify this Eight of Pentacles. Oh, she made, okay, this is like a work card, but what I'm getting is she made quick work of sending it on its way. She didn't want any part of it. It's really weird. At this point, I'm getting it. It was like being essentially passed around and like gifted around and whatever amongst like really, really wealthy royal people back in those like ancient days. After it was stolen from, I guess, from the Israelites. But it seems like it's being returned. Is it still, I guess would we call a cursed object? Is it still technically a cursed object? Judgment card. Hierophant. Hangman. Now I heard from Spirit right away, well, Sienna, you wouldn't want it in your living room. Oh, excuse me, guys. Okay. I wanted to clarify that Hangman, but I think I understand what this is telling me. Now, Judgment, Hierophant. Now I'm getting that like religious bunch. Again, I don't know specifically who, but who stole it and then got rid of it. They are the ones who started the whole it's a cursed, it's cursed. Like, don't touch it, it will hurt you or whatever, right? The reason they started this whole rumor thing about this thing is cursed is because they wanted to use it to make people fear God. They wanted to use, they wanted to use that kind of fear to control. People are more likely to be submissive when they are afraid. And if somebody else says, claims to have the answer or claims to have the solution, and so technically, if you want to believe that it is, then maybe to you, yeah. But then I had Hangman, and it's like over time, it's sort of that fear sort of lost its grip. It's kind of like what Cheryl is saying in the chat right now. People say a lot of words. People can choose to believe it or not. People became less afraid of it. Or less afraid of, no, I should say people became less afraid of God. People became less afraid of the idea of a nasty, vengeful, and angry God that just wants to harm you. They became less afraid of that. It started to lose its control. Now, what is this world card? It was verifying the Hanged Man. What the heck? Well, and you know what? Okay, I think I understand now. The world card talks about a successful completion. And Little Sparrow says maybe the world will see it. Maybe. But it's also just, it's known to the entire world now. Like, pretty much everybody has at least heard of it, or, you know, now it's considered an artifact. We learn about it, you know, like reading books, watching things on TV about it, all kinds of stuff. People like to do research on these sort of things. It has become known everywhere. And some people believing that it doesn't exist at all kind of makes that whole curse, whatever, element a lot less effective. It makes it sort of lose its power. But it does seem to be back in the hands that it belongs in, or at least in, it's someplace satisfactory. Ellie says completion, it's fulfilled its purpose. I think that's absolutely true. So I guess, yeah, it's been returned to some satisfactory place or group of people. In the place it's being held now, is it causing any trouble there? It's not, I get that it's not on display or whatever, but is it causing any trouble? Interesting. Okay, why? It's almost like it's just more like causing financial trouble more than anything. It's not like anybody's getting hurt or anybody's dying or anything like that. Some people who work in this place joke that it's the curse. That's, you know, the judgment. The place is struggling financially a little bit since having the Ark there. And I asked Spirit why. I got 6 of Cups, so okay. What else? Like what? Because I kept hearing like paying for its protection. There's a lot of cups here. Oh, well, okay, no, wait. If it's a museum, aren't those usually funded by the government anyways? Or I get the feeling it's not being held in the US, or it's not being held in Canada. It's like, I'm just trying to think, like, I'm just trying to listen. No, I just keep seeing desert. So it's being held somewhere else in the world where maybe I just don't know if they're, what the kind of things their government funds or whatever. But for some reason I keep, like, it's expensive to store it or to maybe keep it safe or to pay for its protection. I keep hearing to pay for its protection. There's a little bit of a sketchy energy going on. You know, you pay us and in turn we'll make sure nobody breaks in, or like you pay us and we won't steal it from you. But then at the same time, I feel as though, I don't know if it's the government, it's just like an entity, it's somebody with a lot of money though. and I don't know, I had a king card. Maybe that's why it made me think government, but wants to buy it. Because this place it's currently being kept is having a little bit of trouble with money keeping it. But with these 2 pages, I have that this person or entity or group or whatever who wants to buy it doesn't really know what they're getting into. They don't know what they're getting into. I'm hearing like oddity, novelty. Rarity. A lot of itty words, spirit. Curios, I'm hearing. Like it's they don't really understand the significance of it necessarily. And like page of, I don't know, that's just what I'm getting. Like page of cups, like, oh, well, it's going to be like a really cool thing to have on display. It's going to make us look really awesome. This is so exciting. It's going to be so cool to have this. But it's like, are they really thinking it through? How much thought have they put into it? How much research have they done on this? Have they read accounts of other people who've maybe, been in contact with this? It's not just an object. It does still have significance. Mind you, it does still contain the presence of God. And the presence of God, yes, it's everywhere, but that physical reminder is still there. I do have this mental image, like it's severely eroded over time. And that could be why the carrying handles, the wooden handles on it, maybe that's why they're long gone. I do have this like knowing that pieces have broken off of it. Some of that is from just it being old and being transported. Some of it is because something was broken off, stolen. But Spirit is saying, like, just like any other, object in the world, this is just a thing. It will fade away over time. It will erode over time. Nowadays it does not look the same as it used to. I think we would probably consider it like ruins. Whoop. Oh, Jayon says it is in Ethiopia in, how do I say that word? Lalibela? Lalibela? I'm going to have to look that up and see if that matched kind of the mental image I was having of a desert. Interesting. Okay, and then we had like the Holy Grail was the next one. Was it, if that one was real, and more information on that. It's supposed to be the cup that Jesus drank out of at the Last Supper, and I think it's supposed to be a cup like when he was like dying, some of his blood was like dripped into it and it caught some of his blood or whatever. Supposed to bring eternal life to people who drink it. Right away, but then again, it is probably because I was initially raised Christian. I immediately see the symbolism here. Oh, hey, Keisha. Ooh, let the devil card flip out. Let's see if we can just get a better view of the table. Okay, that might be a little, yeah, we could put it there. Okay, I had the devil card flip out, so we'll keep it. Holy Grail, is it real? Any information about it? Is it a real cup or is it just a symbol? That's what I want to know. I'm hearing the words fruitless search. Okay, so here's kind of what I'm getting is like, okay, yeah, at the Last Supper, sure, the cup that Jesus drank out of probably was a real cup. But here's the thing, just like with like Spirit was telling us about the ark, it's just an object. Those will erode and they break down over time. You know, you think about, well, okay, maybe things like plastic and metal don't necessarily break down. Not like they had plastic back when Jesus was around, but, you know, metal, yeah, sure, it might still be around, but, you know, over time, like it can rust, it can, when things are rusted enough, you know, they get holes in them, they eventually kind of break apart. I'm just being shown images of like all the things that could have happened to it, like it had been crushed, it had been like all like thrown into the ocean. I'm seeing it like being buried underground. Like it doesn't really matter what happened to the cup itself. There was a lot of emphasis put on this cup that he drank out of at the Last Supper. And it's almost like it's an original meaning or its symbolic meaning or whatever is being stolen from it or was originally stolen from it. From, I think what Jesus was trying to get at. Because when he was talking about, like, you know, the bread, hey, this is my body, and the wine, hey, this is my blood, eat and drink of me, or whatever. It's like, you become, it's like, when we eat and drink of him, it's like we become one with him, I guess. I think that's what he was trying to say. And the meaning from that, some people misconstrued it and eventually became obsessed with finding the actual cup. Or if I find the physical drinking vessel that he held in his hand, then I will have the eternal life and whatever else that he talked about. But it's not the physical actual cup that mattered. It was the desire to, or the choice to be one with Jesus or to be one with God, whatever, that message that he was trying to tell. I'm hoping this makes sense, you guys. I'm hearing fruitless endeavor. Oh, and then with this devil card and its meaning being, you know, stolen from it, it's almost like this was done on purpose. Somebody or a bunch of somebodies put the emphasis on the real cup to sort of distract people from the true message. Fruitless endeavors. A lot of people went searching for this artifact through this cup over, I don't know, I guess maybe at least 1,000 years or however long the legends and stuff have been around. What was important here was the message with this Page of Wands. that the, like the spiritual path and living a life of love and peace and, following the teachings that Jesus tried, to show people, that was what would be fulfilling. And the whole eternal life thing is like, we'll remember that we've always been eternal beings. We've always existed and we always will exist. Being on the spiritual path kind of helps us to remember that. The idea was like communion. That's what I kept thinking of with this Three of Cups. Communion with Jesus. Drinking from his cup, meaning accepting and receiving his love, or sharing in his teachings maybe, or just wanting to be loving and be kind the way that he was. This is what kind of helps us to become one with Jesus. This is what brings us joy. Of course, this is, it's up to you which deities and which ascended masters, resonate with you, of course, but this is just what we're asking about this time. Communion of spirit, says Craig. Yes. Brings us joy. That's what was supposed to be important. Nowadays, it's like, okay, it's funny how this wraps up again with the world card. Nowadays, we kind of know this. This knowledge is pretty widespread. And I think nowadays, at least for the most part, people don't take it literally, eating Jesus's body and drinking his blood, because ew. Ellie makes a very good point. Those seeking the physical cup are focused on the material plane, missing the spiritual message. So, I mean, the cup itself, yeah, it probably did exist, but Spirit's saying it's not really worth looking for, because that's not the point. That wasn't the point. I'm also hearing from Spirit, it could have been a $2 glass from IKEA for all we cared. I'm hearing like what matters was drinking in spirit. Just drinking it in, that love. That love that, Jesus came to show people and teach people about. That's what we were supposed to be drinking in. That's what was important. It wasn't the cup itself, it's just what was in the cup. And then, of course, that message got misconstrued and whatever. Okay, now, what should we look at next? We have a few. Oh, hey, Becca, hello. Okay, this one's going to be completely different. And now for something completely different. I can't not make that reference. Monty Python references. I had a few viewers ask me about Bigfoot and if it was real. Where are / were they? Did there used to be more of them? And then I kind of wanted to ask Spirit if we could get in touch with one or maybe channel one. This is totally changing gears from what we were just looking at before. Hello to everybody who just joined. Okay, so Bigfoot, real? Where are / were they? Did there used to be more of them? What can we know about them, Spirit? Somebody sent me a super chat. Catherine, thank you. Thank you for the support. Where are / were they? Did there used to be more of them? Because I know there's those occasional sightings, you know, that we've seen. There's all kinds of videos, you know, from, I think there's one that originates from the 1960s that shows some kind of a Bigfoot creature in the trees, and then there's more recent, modern ones that show him. Did there used to be more? I get the feeling there aren't very many. I'm hearing we used to be everywhere. Wow, okay, so I'm just hearing we used to be everywhere. We used to live fulfilling lives. We used to lead very fulfilling lives. We used to be everywhere. That started to change. That slowly started to change. Humans stopped seeing us as people. There was a time long ago when there were what you would call multiple subsets of human beings. Called the Neanderthal. Some you would call the caveman. You have Homo sapiens, Homo habilis, so on, so on. And they all, for the most part, lived together pretty harmoniously. And there were other types of humanoid beings as well, not just the examples that came up. There were all kinds of, like, it's really interesting. Humans started to see us, I'm getting, as more of an animal than a person. All of a sudden we felt trapped. Because they began to hunt. They began to hunt us. They stole our lives from us, I'm hearing. I'm hearing my wife was stolen. He wants to make it clear that wife just meant like a mate. It wasn't necessarily marriage the way that we understand it now. But it's like they stole his mate from him. He had all of his children with her. He loved her and she was hunted. I'm just kind of listening and trying to get mental images. I want to know this like creature like that I'm channeling. I want to understand like your name. And if I'm channeling, if you're like alive right now or not. I'm hearing deceased now. He's like 7 feet tall at the least. He's big. Just what I'm seeing, the mental image of him. And like this, I guess we would consider it maybe ginger. Maybe a little bit more brown than that. But that's his hair. This reddish, orangey reddish brown. I guess we'd call it ginger probably. And he's covered in it. I mean, you can see like his skin. He has brown skin. Oh, brown, I would say like beige. No, I don't know. Hang on. I have something here that's a similar color, I think. What do I have that is close enough to match the mental image I have? Okay. It's kind of this beigey color, but a little bit darker. Kind of a tan color, I guess. That's his skin. And he's like covered in this reddish hair. Like it's really thick on his chest, and then it kind of near his belly, it's a little bit thinner. And then again, all like on his thighs, his hips, like all down his legs, feet. And Little Sparrow mentions Chewbacca. I know, kind of, but not as covered in hair as Chewbacca. Not quite as hairy as him. Because you can see this guy has like a pot belly. And you can see it, and you can see he has a belly button. And wow, that's amazing. I just had a flash of a mental image of like a fetal, I guess we'd call it Bigfoot. How it's connected by an umbilical cord, just like a human baby. He says, if only the humans understood this when I was alive, when I roamed, he's saying. They walked around naked. That was another thing that he's pointing out. They were more comfortable that way. He says it depended on which part of the world you lived in, because I get the feeling that they were everywhere. And I think I kept hearing that. We used to be everywhere. Colder parts of the world, perhaps they had adapted and grown more fur. Perhaps I do get that they hunted animals, and they knew in colder areas, they knew to create like clothing from the hides and the fur. But they were like hunted nearly to extinction. We almost disappeared from the world. I have the Fool card. They were thinking, or no, what was I thinking? Oh, they were kind of on the brink of extinction. And they were sort of brought back. A lot of them went into hiding. Four of Swords. A lot of them went into hiding. And that kind of helped because, you know, went into hiding, of course, harder to be hunted, right? You still didn't tell me what your name was. He says you wouldn't understand. Like, he's talking to me, like I wouldn't understand. Well, okay, what's the closest thing you can put it? Like, what is the closest thing to it? Like, how can you tell me in a way that I can understand? I'm getting RHO, like hro, but there's like a really growly, some guttural like sounds. That was their communication. They had like a language. It was very similar to, it would have been similar to like the humans, what the humans around them spoke. But they have some of their own like grunts and growls sounds. But his name is like Hro, RHO, Hro. That's cool. Okay, what was the next question? So there did used to be more of you. And you were sort of brought back from extinction, kind of. Our population has been decimated, he says. Do some still exist today? And are videos reported sightings of your type? I hope that's not offensive to say. Are they true? There are a few. Yes. We continue to breed. So actually, Little Sparrow, yeah, you're right. The offspring, yep. We continue to breed. Now, something I pick up, it's maybe a little bit gross, but since there are so few of them, some of the offspring are a little bit inbred. Hang on, I gotta blow one candle out for a sec. It's starting to get a little bit, the glass is starting to heat up a little bit too much. Didn't want it to smash. Anyways, yeah, they continue to breed. They're very defensive, protective creatures. They're very territorial. This is a survival instinct that they've picked up. I'm hearing from Ro that they've become a beast because you've made them a beast. And by you, it just means like people. They've developed these survival mechanisms passed down now through their generations. Being territorial, being aggressive, some of them being very defensive, very protective. I mean, it makes sense. I understand it. Some of their offspring die. I'm hearing from Ro at least from what he's showing me, is that they tend to have one baby at a time. Just like people tend to usually have one baby at a time. Sometimes there are multiples. Sometimes the babies die in infancy due to, it depends on the parents. He calls them mates. Depends on the mates. If they're a little bit too inbred. And sometimes the babies don't survive for, various reasons. And that's sad too, but we do see that happen in nature. Sometimes they are hunted and eaten by animals. I'm hearing something about colonies, like there are 12 colonies. Or maybe like family. I wonder, Ro, was that what we'd consider it? Like before you guys were hunted to nearly extinction, did you live in colonies? Like communal, multiple families together? That seems to be the feeling that I get. I'm seeing families as in a pair of mates and a couple of offspring. And then the offspring, they grow up. Sometimes they stay with the parents. Sometimes they wander off and live on their own and create their own offspring. Hierophant is saying, in society now, Rope barely recognizes it compared to the society he lived in. Now, keep in mind, of course, this is his higher self. He could be reincarnated any number of times, and he could be having any number of life experiences right now as we speak, but he's choosing to manifest as this crow, the Bigfoot. They've kind of become a legend at this point. They don't really fit into modern society. He's saying they understand how different they are from modern society. And I'm hearing they know the life that they know. Many of them would be too afraid to come out and try and communicate with people to begin with. Funny, Chariot in reverse. So they're taking advantage of this. They're intelligent. He wants us to know. Hro wants us to know that they are very intelligent. They communicate differently. They look different. They're maybe bigger and hairier, and maybe they do have some more animal-like tendencies, but they're sentient. They're intelligent. They know that a lot of people don't really believe in them and don't think that they exist. They like this because it means, for the most part, people leave them alone. Now, there's some that do come looking for them, but they're happy just living their lives, going forwards with their lives in kind of an unorthodox manner. It's like, okay, well, you don't have to believe in my existence. I'm going to continue to exist regardless. That's a really good question, Little Sparrow. I want to ask to Hro, did beings of your species, which you never really told me what your species was called. He says Bigfoot is acceptable because that's what we understand. Did any of your type ever mix with humans? I think they did. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Sometimes this Knight of Wands is one of my cards for like going out and getting some. All right, let's just say. And that resulted in children. I was hearing Viking women, Neanderthal women, and there's a humanoid group. they start with a D. That's going to bug me. But they're coming in as well. Like, I'm getting a mental image of them as well. What the heck? They're like a prehistoric type of human. So more so in like the ancient days. And then I'm hearing like sometimes, I don't want to necessarily call it cross species, but that is sort of the word that was coming in. I think with some humanoid types, like that kind of breeding, like it did produce a viable offspring, and then in some it did not. Denisovan, thank you, Quentin. That, or Denisovan? I don't know. I don't remember how you say that word, but yeah. It's just like in some humanoid groups, for some reason, like like reproduction, I guess, worked and did produce babies in some people, and in other people, either nothing happened, or another thing I'm picking up is, like I keep hearing infant mortality. There were sometimes deformities or genetic components that I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an expert, but I'm just getting like either just didn't mesh together well, and the babies were born with conditions, I'm hearing, incompatible with life. So some of them did. Some of them did produce mixed offspring, and some of them did not. That's interesting. Okay, we're gonna switch gears again. Something completely different. This is why I actually really like doing weird questions in a streaming format. I know we've just been looking at my table the whole time. I guess I could look up for a second. Hello, hi. Oh, do I? Nope. My camera stand wants to fall down now. I guess we'll just point it back down. How did I have this? Oh, poop. I should not have touched it. I think that's... Okay. That was almost perfect. Good enough. Okay. Somebody had asked if President Eisenhower faked, I think it was a dentist appointment, to go and communicate with extraterrestrials. Oh, also thank you, Hro, for talking to us. He's since kind of tuned out, but I feel like he's very far away. He's still kind of listening in, but thank you for speaking with us. So did Eisenhower fake an appointment to go sneak out and talk to extraterrestrials? Okay, a whole bunch fell out. I don't think we need quite all of these. Interesting. Just a sec. I think it is true. I think it's true because there's a little bit of conflict. I think what I'm getting is it wasn't like a serious fight or conflict. It was like an argument. or disagreement between him and somebody on the existence of extraterrestrials. And if they were real or not. And at the same time, he did want to, I think there was kind of an opportunity for him to go, I don't know too much about this story, okay, going into this, but I think there was like an opportunity for him to go and like try and communicate with these extraterrestrials, but he just never had the time. Couldn't get a break, he couldn't get away. And then I have here this is him, King of Swords. He was very, from what I pick up here, just very logical, a very rational person. Didn't necessarily believe in, no, I'm hearing like mythological beings. He thought that aliens were just like a myth. But it's like he didn't really believe in them, but he kind of did just in case. He didn't want to completely write them off, you know, like just in case. But at the same time, it sort of conflicted with his like really intelligent, intellectual, whatever side of him. That was like, nope, you know, this is not scientific. We don't have proof, whatever. There's a woman that was helping him, like I have here with the Six of Pentacles. I think maybe she came up with the idea of like booking an appointment, so to speak, and just making it something common enough that people would understand, oh yeah, okay, you got to go and do that, but mundane enough that it wasn't really interesting. So like a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment or whatever it was that he supposedly faked. This woman that I think she worked for him, that's what I pick up, helped set this up for him. And then I kind of have the beginning of the story, the end of the story. We'll pull some more cards in a minute, but what I have is here, he returned to the White House. And he was kind of, what I get was like, he was kind of surprised at what he learned. He felt this really, this like really weird sense of, how do I explain that? It was almost just like a really weird sense of confusion. Like everything he knew or thought he knew was just kind of thrown off. And then at the same time, this kind of renewed sense of gratitude for, one, being human, two, being here on this planet, and then three, a sense of gratitude for like being a leader of humans, at least during his time. He didn't really say anything to anybody, but there were some that he was close to that he mentioned it to, and they did not believe him. Five of Swords. They didn't believe him. They, I also pick up like they kind of made fun of him. But he saw what he saw. He is satisfied with his experience. It wasn't scary to him or anything. It was, if anything, what I pick up is that it was kind of cool, but that it was just so confusing. He was so confused about life after that, or at least for a little while. But he knew, it's like he saw what he saw, and he was satisfied. So what happened in the middle then? When he contacted the extraterrestrials, what happened then? Okay. So what happened? So I got transported. I don't think he was like literally beamed up into the ship or anything like that. The mental image I have is he's sitting cross-legged on a cushion. Like a deep meditative state. And that's how he was being, I guess, quote unquote, transported. I also pick up he was kind of afraid of the possibility of like being abducted, being taken into the ship and, you know, run away with him. He was a little afraid of that, but I get it was more of like a spiritual transportation. There was a female entity. She had the most authority, and then there was like a male entity. It must have been like, I don't pick up that it was like a husband or a mate or anything like that, but he was also in authority. That he spoke with. It's interesting how this is set up. You see, I have Queen of Swords. It's like all my swords ended up on this side and all my pentacles ended up on this side. That was completely by accident. Uh-oh. Oh, how do I... Oh, dear. How do I fix this? Fix it. This is the magic of live. How did I have my camera set up before? Kind of like that. Kind of like that? Sort of. That's okay. Well, this will do. We'll do this. Ooh, Ariane has a really good suggestion, and we'll get to that in just a sec. Oh. So this woman, or this female entity that was really powerful, she was very blunt and to the point with him. Your people are suffering, I heard. Your people are suffering. You need to go in and have an effect on this. Like, you need to change what's happening here, or you need to do something that will cause change. For some reason, that's what I got with Ace of Cups, but also just like your people are suffering, like hear their outcry. It's like I do just keep hearing, hear their cry. And it's like she was trying to kind of like beam to him a message. The feeling of like tension and uncertainty, the kind of desperation that some people were feeling. And then this male entity was a little bit more gentle. I pick up, he was concerned about the prosperity of the people and their long-term well-being. And it's like he said to, oh my gosh, I just cut my nails, so I can't really pick up cards now. Said to Eisenhower, like, hey, I know this seems like a tall order. I know you're feeling insecure about this. This challenge seems like it's bigger than you, but it is not. What this entity was trying to tell him, I think what the message he was trying to say was, you are more powerful, like, remember who you are as a spiritual being. Because first of all, these entities, they know that we are more than just humans. We're more than just what we're incarnated as. They're all aware that we're all one and we're all connected. We're all energy. So it was like he kind of reminded him of that fact. And, reminded him of that fact and just said like, hey, you're a lot more powerful than some of the struggles that your people are facing. Also showed him, here's how you balance like the stress, the expectation, all the responsibility from your role. Here's how you balance it with like, well, your strengths and with like the parts of, like, here's how you take the good with the bad, kind of. Here's how you take all the stress and all of the hard stuff and you balance it with all of the things that you like about this and all of the things that you're strong, all the areas you're strong in. What was this conflict that they were referring to? I had one come flipping out. Where is it? There's something that was growing. Something that was growing is something that I'm hearing like rising to power. And then King of Cups. I get the feeling this is like a person, or a person who is like representing a bunch of people, or a person who's representing an idea. There was a certain ideology rising to power that was growing. Now keep in mind, I don't really remember what decade he was president during. Like, I don't know which era that he was necessarily from. Like, I could probably go and look all that up, but it's just like there was a certain ideology that was growing, that was rising to power. It had to do with like financial matters too, or like money or something. It could also just mean that a lot of people were not financially secure, and it was maybe that kind of fear that was growing. But I get that it is more like political, economic. Some kind of ideology was starting to rise to power. Honestly, this King of Cups, this is my Putin card. I thought it was maybe communism or something, and that's why I was getting confused. Like, I really don't know which era that Eisenhower was from, but this would make more sense if this was during a time where, well, for a while Americans were all concerned about communism, and if they suspected somebody of sympathizing with the communists or something like that, like they were kind of ostracized or whatever. Whoop. And then I have the Death card. Now, I think, yeah, there was also like a war, like conflict. And And if he was around during the 50s, I mean, the Korean War was happening during that time. Maybe it, that could have been something that he was worried about too. And a lot of people dying. And the alien beings were concerned about this too. Oop, here we go. Of just a fear of like needless excessive death due to like different ideologies rising to power. Interesting, but yeah, it seems like he did. Did connect with extraterrestrials. That's kind of cool. I honestly had never even heard of that story about him before. So that's neat. Whoop. Oh, I'm losing cards. Okay. The next one I wanted to do. Where do really evil people go when they die? Like, where did Hitler go when he died? Or Stalin, or, any of those other very infamous people. Where do those evil people go when they die? And I mean, I could always do another, like a separate video on this. If we ever like really wanted to dive deep into it. But I just want to take a basic look. Where do really evil people go when they die? Again, totally switching gears, but where do evil people go when they die? Actually, you know what I'm going to start with? I'll put this one back in the deck. I'm going to ask, where did Hitler go when he died? What happened to him when he died? What happened to his soul? Where did he go when he died? Where did Hitler go when he died? That's not a card I expected to jump out. Weird, but okay. Where should I put that? I guess here so you guys can see it. And any other information that I can have, Spirit. Ooh. So where did Hitler go after he died? Okay. This, I don't know, I guess I have trouble wrapping my head around it because of all of, like, the really horrible stuff he was responsible for and did, but, like, he did go to a place where there was still love. Oh, little sparrow, thank you. Thank you for your support. But yeah, this is weird. He did go to a place where there was still some love. I'm being reminded by Spirit that, now, another area that I actually have expertise in professionally is childcare. And it's the most difficult kids that show the worst and most challenging behaviors are the ones that need love the most. Souls are not much different. Sometimes it's kind of on a bigger scale. And instead of a difficult kid, it's evil dictator. Or, you know, he was so cut off and disconnected from the flow of love that when he died, he was brought into a place where he was with beings that cared about him. It's not to say he got away with anything, though. Oh, no. Justice. Some things had to be balanced out before he could progress anywhere. Spirit showed him, remember when you were young, remember when you were a child. And I'm being shown, it's really weird, but like a little dark-haired boy, maybe like, he still kind of has a little chubby baby face, but he's not a baby. He's probably like older 2, maybe very early 3 years of age, 2 or 3, playing in a pile of dirt. And like, he's like feeling this cold, cold and loamy and kind of damp dirt in his hands all over his arms, and he's watching an ant crawling up his arm. He's watching bugs crawling on his hands, and he's like smiling, this little boy, and you can sort of see inside of him, like in, I guess here, chest or heart area, there was a light. Spirit showed him, remember who you are. Remember that you are that light. Spirit showed him exactly where he messed up and where he went wrong in life, where he started to make poor decisions and decisions that hurt others. And when he, there's a moment where he had, like, this is before he really got notorious or anything, where he had a great disappointment, a great pain, and he did not process it. He never healed from it. And he was shown how holding on to this pain and this bitterness from whatever the disappointment was, he was shown how that affected all of his decision making. And the person that he sort of deemed responsible for his pain, he took out that anger on other people of maybe that same culture or maybe that same, I don't know, other people similar to that, he figured were similar enough to the one who caused him pain. Then he was made to feel the this outpouring of, it's like this crying out. It's all of the people that he was responsible for torturing, responsible for the death and the torture of. He was, like, Spirit allowed his heart to be filled with this absolute despair. Just the most, Spirit's not going to let me connect with the type of the energy of what he was made to feel. It was very intense. It was very painful. He was made to just hear one huge collective scream from every single person. Just one huge collective scream, from every single person, every, man, woman, child, that he was responsible for their harm. He was shown where he made mistakes, and he was shown where, at which point in his life he stopped developing. that he stopped like maturing. And it's at a fairly young age that he was kind of just stuck at mentally as most of his adult life. Donna, thank you for your super chat. I really appreciate your help. Thank you for your support. So he was shown like at what age he basically stopped growing up, and was shown all these different moments from his life where he had made bad decisions based on his own immaturity, and was asked, by Spirit, pretty much like, how could you have done this better? In another, like, if given the chance to relive this situation, how else could you have done this? What else could you have said? What else could you have chosen? Because Judgment, look at all this pain you are responsible for as a result of what you've done. As a result of you not healing your own pain, and just a result of everything else. Like, just as a result of like all the choices and all the stuff that you made. It's like Spirit was saying to him, like, look at what you have done, basically. Look how you've hurt. Look at how you've hurt all these people. And then it was basically, do you understand where you went wrong? With this Ace of Swords, do you understand where you went wrong? Do you understand the seriousness of your life's actions? Do you understand how they will impact future generations of human beings? Do you understand that it will impact the way that this world operates on a certain level? I want to know if he's still in the spiritual realm or if he has reincarnated, because this is saying he will be offered another chance to come back. Not as him, not as Hitler, of course, but that soul will be offered another chance to come back and try again. So, has he since come back, or is he in the spiritual realm? I don't think he has yet. I was getting he doesn't feel ready to. He realizes, like, I pick up, like, there's just, like, this feeling, there's, like, this intense guilt, and there's, like, this intense remorse, fear. He's afraid. He's not afraid of what kind of lifetime he will live, but he's afraid that he's going to hurt people again. Like, well, what if that happens again? Because the feeling I pick up is like his soul genuinely doesn't want to hurt other people. But because of that lifetime that we all know of, he's a little worried. What if I'm bad again? He still has things to work through on the other side before he can come back. So he's still got a lot to process. I'm hearing something about forgiveness of the self. Forgiveness of the self. And he does now have like issues with the self-hatred, and I think he's always had those issues. Spirit is correcting me that it's like that's true. He's during that lifetime that we all know of, that's what he suffered a lot with. Like in his earlier life, just intense self-hatred, and that's something that he's processing. He's trying to process that on the other side. He's trying to learn how to forgive himself. There's this overwhelming feeling of where do I begin? Because I also pick up there's this like knowing that he should make things right with people that he's harmed, but there are so many, millions of souls. That's like, he does not know where to begin to balance out some of that karma. Spirit's saying that he is eventually going to have to move forward and live another lifetime. Because there's some stuff you can balance on the other side, and there's some lessons that are just better learned on Earth. Rose, I'm pretty sure that, you know, on the other side, if you really didn't want to see him, I'm sure that somebody up there would arrange for you two not to bump into each other. But I have also this last card for this question, gradual healing. You know, it took the world a long time to heal from all of that he was responsible for. But now, you know, on the other side, he's still dealing with the guilt and the self-hatred, and he's learned that he can't take his own self-issues, his own self-hatred out on everybody else. And that's kind of what he did when he was here. So Spirit's going to try and help him heal from this. And he will eventually. He will eventually, you know, reincarnate. He'll come back. Can we know about his next lifetime? What it might entail? Again, with that defensiveness, he's going to be the one being suppressed, or the one being oppressed. He's going to be the one on the defensive this time. The overall lesson will be remaining strong through different things, but look at some of these cards. He's the one that's going to be on the defensive. He is going to experience heartbreak and loss. Now, I was confused. I asked Spirit if it was going to be a long life or a short life. Because I'm not sure with this Page of Swords. I don't know if this means he will like lose a child, or if he will, or if like that's when he will die. Like if something will happen when he's a child. I'm hearing more like teenager to young adult. He might live to be teenager or young adult in that life. But it's like a real struggle. Like, it's filled with a lot of the same, there's going to be a lot of recurring themes from his last lifetime and the upcoming one. Rejection, dealing with like hatred of the self. This might be a slow lesson for him. It might be slow progress for him, but slow progress is better than no progress, I suppose. He's like going to be betrayed a lot. I'm hearing like difficult upbringing. I'm hearing a poor school in a poor neighborhood. I asked, was it going to be a long life or a short one? The wands, when I estimate timing, are my shortest amount of time. A 9 of Wands, it's going to him, it might seem like a long life, but it's going to feel like it drags. It's very embattling. But I keep hearing like 19. Could live at least to 19, but Spirit's saying like it depends on his choices, on his actions. He could only live to be 19, or he could live a longer, fuller life. But if he doesn't turn things around and make good choices for himself in this upcoming lifetime, if he doesn't overcome his pain and he just takes it out on everyone else around him, he's going to find it's a short life that ends like what I'm hearing is it could be either like gang associated violence, or it could be an OD of some type. But it's up to him. If he can remain strong and learn to process and heal from his pain instead of just take it out on everyone else, then Spirit's saying he could live a longer time. Okay, and then I have time for like one more. I think that was kind of interesting. That was not at all what I expected. But somebody had a interesting suggestion and I said we would get to it. And I'm just scrolling through comments trying to find it. Trying to find it. Oh, it's Arlene. I'm sorry. I thought her name was Ariane. That's an L and I read that as an I. Sorry, Arlene. Your question. Josh Hawley, you got an intuitive hit that Josh Hawley is the reincarnation of President Tyler. And you're wondering if I would look at that. I could look at that real quick. Is Josh Hawley a reincarnation of President Tyler? Bye, Craig. Have a good weekend. It may not have been President Tyler, but it could have been First Lady. With this Queen of Wands, it's a very effeminate, but a very powerful feminine energy. He was a very powerful woman in that last lifetime. That very powerful woman who, despite her strength and her power and stuff, kept, I guess, mostly quiet, kept mostly hidden from spotlight, did most of her work without being seen or without receiving much credit. And then, of course, that lifetime was successfully completed. That was, he'd learned a lot of valuable things in that lifetime. He'd completed what his soul had set out for him to do. And then reincarnated as this Josh Hawley. So I don't think he was President Tyler, but he could have been like the First Lady. A very powerful woman during that time. So that's what I got. Anyways, with that, you guys, I'm going to end the stream here. It's already 4 o'clock where I am. I'm getting a little bit hungry again. I need to eat some lunch, but I do want to maybe record a video for you guys or something, just something, an upload for you guys to have during the week. I know I work 4 days a week, so kind of longer days, so it is hard for me to get anything, you know, post any content for you guys. So the weekends is usually when I get a chance to do any of that. So with that, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to everybody for your support, and I'm going to see you in my next upload. You guys have a good weekend.